if you listen to me long enough, I'm going to get you. I'm going to hit you somewhere where you're going to be like, hey, hold on, Q, wait a minute. If I ain't making somebody mad, I'm not doing something right.
In 1983, a 14-year-old in Compton, California, with a gift for the written word, had an idea. Initially recognized for his storytelling abilities in 5th grade, O'Shea Jackson took up rapping in high school, taking the stage name Ice Cube. The group he co-founded as a teenager would revolutionize music, and Cube's ability to craft compelling narratives would provide the foundation for a decades-long career spanning music, movies, and now sports. And it all started with one idea. Yep, we're good? Cool. Q, thank you so much for joining us on Idea Generation.
Anytime, man, anytime.
So, sir, in thinking about your career, whether it's with individual songs like Today Was a Good Day or My Summer Vacation, or even how you construct full albums like Death Certificate all the way through Friday, and then even how you architected and sort of reinvented basketball with the Big Three, storytelling seems to be always sort of centered in your creative output. What makes a good story?
The story has to be interesting, and you have to keep the story moving. The worst thing you can do is start telling a story and then go off into some side thing you wasn't even talking about. It's like, story has beginning, middle, and the end. And it depends on what story you're telling. I've told throughout my career about things that I've seen, heard, or done. I got into writing, about the 5th grade. I had a teacher named Mrs. Prentice. One day she had us write about our, vacation. And she was impressed by my writing. So impressed she sent it to the principal. And it ends up getting into the little elementary newsletter. And, it was like my first recognition, on a bigger scale than just my teacher. The whole school, you could read, what I wrote. So it inspired me, and I ended up, when I graduated from the 6th grade, doing a speech for the graduation class, which it was something I wrote. It was a good speech, the kids dug it, they clapped for me, so I felt like I can definitely take what's in my head and put it on a piece of paper and then deliver it to people and keep their attention.
Growing up, how did your parents' professional lives inform your ambition?
They got up and went to work every day, paid their bills, and tried to make us into good people. And so let me know I had to get up and do something to turn out as cool as them and to, have a house and a family and all those cool things, cars, and being able to buy your kids bikes and stuff like that. And that was an inspiration for me to figure out what I wanted to do. My biggest early supporter, I would have to say my parents. Anything I wanted to do that was positive, they was with it. Even doing music. My mom's was like, do you gotta cuss so much in your music? And I was like, yep, I do. Because I want to be real, and this is how we really talk outside, so we're gonna be real. And, you know, even though her church friends was tripping on her, you know what I mean, she told them to shut up, and look at us now.
You started rapping around beginning of high school, and, you know, you come out to the world, I would say, fully formed by, you know, the time you're with N.W.A. in your, you know, sort of late teens to around
17.
20. Okay. What was the process of sort of sharpening your pen from those very first rhymes to getting to, you know, Dope Man?
Well, you know, we were pretty much locals, so the best rappers were, you know, on the East Coast, and we were trying to figure out, you know, first, you know, how to be a part of the music. People don't remember, I mean, some people do, but everybody had to have their own style and flavor. You couldn't bite nobody's style and get accepted. So that's one thing, you know, hanging out with Dre when they were with the Wrecking Crew, seeing them make records, see them try to navigate the LA hip hop scene, West Coast hip hop scene. You know, we're all working, trying to come up with hits for the Wrecking Crew. You know, later I would try to help Dre with writing. We wrote a song called Cabbage Patch Dance or some shit like that. That ended up being a hit, you know, in LA and on the West Coast. And we were doing mixtapes. Trey would do this 4-track mix, and then I would rap at the beginning on some of them. And I would rap about the neighborhood because we wasn't trying to put this out on the record. It was just gonna go in the streets. So I could be a little more raw, talk about what we saw and what we was going through in the streets. So that's really where, you know, we start honing in this style. And then Eazy-E comes into the picture. He used to DJ with Dre in high school, but then he started doing his thing. Dre started doing his thing, kind of lost contact, but he came up on one of these tapes. He came back into Dre life, and then we started to figure out what we was gonna do. You know, he wanted to get in the music game. But he's like, man, we need to do music like on these tapes, not the Cabbage Patch Dance shit y'all trying to put out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to do, like, let's lean into this. And it was totally underground. You know, we felt like, okay, since we can't be on TV raps and shit, we gonna just be underground rappers, hardcore underground in LA streets. And when we made that decision, that's when the records started blowing up.
N.W.A., you know, both in terms of the content and the sound, but also the way you guys dressed, was all extremely dialed and a very coherent thought.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys craft all of that branding and imaging?
We had a show in San Diego. This was one of our first big shows as Eazy-E and N.W.A. Heavy D and the boys was on the bill, Salt and Pepper. UTFO was headlining. You had Eazy-E and N.W.A. And then on the bill was Too Short and MC Hammer. Hammer, they came in like they was polished, a group that's been around for 10 years. You know, they was all dressed in the same shit. And see, Eazy was saying, see, they look like a fucking group. Look at us. We look like we straight off the street. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's just wearing whatever the fuck we want to wear. So before the show tonight, we just got to figure this out. He said, if y'all, anybody got black, just bring black, man. When we showed up, you know, I'm Raider down because I was a fan of the LA Raiders anyway. So that's the black I had was Raider stuff. So, you know, everybody started buying the Raider gear in the group, and it just looked right. sometimes it's hard to tell what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. So you shouldn't judge an idea from its inception. I know I got a good idea if it keeps looping back around and pushing me. And it just stays in my head and it starts to build on itself. You know, you have to get that feeling in your bones. But even when you got a good idea, you got to weigh out the pros and the cons. What's a good reason to do this and what's a reason not to do this? And, you know, be honest.
You know, at that point in hip hop, there are a handful of, I don't know, maybe a dozen real albums of, you know, artistic significance. Did you guys have a sense that what you were doing was really pushing the envelope further than it had ever been?
Yeah. To me, we wanted to tell the stories that we knew about and lived through, but they wasn't, you know, being talked about. So we wanted to be as visual as possible, you know, so it was special effects, it was skits, it was us trying to make it more than just music, but more visual.
And after you guys put the record out, it's obviously you have huge success, but you come to figure out that you're getting sort of the short end of the stick when it comes to the money. What was the sort of process of revelation, and how did you sort of think about it all?
Well, you know, I got to give credit to Pat Charbonnet, who was the publicity person for Priority Records. So she was setting up a lot of our publicity for N.W.A. And I would be the only one to show up sometime, you know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't show up. So me and her, you know, would be talking, waiting for somebody to pull up. And once she found out Jerry Heller was in the picture, she started asking me a lot of questions about, do you know him? She obviously knew a history about him, and she started asking me, do I have a lawyer and this, that, and the other? And I was like, nah, I don't have a personal lawyer. We hadn't signed shit, you know what I mean? We was just doing records.
So they had you out there touring the record's selling, and there's no paperwork for anyone in the group.
No paperwork.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I was making a little money here and there, but, you know, when the big checks started coming in, it was like, you know, me sitting there, it's like, yo, wait a minute. Where's our piece? Like, oh, no, you get paid on the next one. You get paid on. It was like, no, this is not working for me. So, you know, left the group.
After leaving N.W.A. at the height of its fame, Cube embarked on a critically acclaimed and commercially successful solo career that continues on to this day. But an iconic collaboration with a fellow South Central native would become a springboard to new storytelling opportunities beyond the world of music. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to, you know, not only just on a professional level, you got something that's cooking and it's working, to step away from that at its literal peak, but also to try to navigate the interpersonal. These are, I presume, your friends and people you've been working with for, 4 or 5 years at this point.
I still try to be friends with the guys who had nothing to do with the business. Me and Eazy was shaky. I mean, I didn't care about Jerry Heller at all, so it wasn't no love lost there. But, you know, I tried to keep it together with Dre. I even wanted Dre to produce my solo record.
Oh, really?
And he was talking about it, but Eazy and Jerry vetoed it.
And so America's Most, your solo debut, you go to talk to Brian Turner, who was distributing Ruthless at the time, correct?
Yeah.
And he decides to go into business with you solo.
Yeah.
Did you feel a sense of pressure, from yourself to perform or to sort of prove your value in the marketplace?
I mean, I felt pressure to make the money back that I was advanced. I, of course, wanted to make a good record, wanted people to like it, and wanted to have a hit and all this, but when somebody give you, hundreds of thousands as an advance, I didn't want to trick it off. Because if you don't make this money back, you're not getting no more. You know what I mean? Like, your deal's probably going to be over.
You worked with the Bomb Squad on that record, who I understand were at the time your favorite producers off of their work with Public Enemy.
Yeah.
How different was the creative process of working with them versus what you had been doing with Dre in the years prior?
I was running the show. It was up to me what we kept, what we didn't, what records we recorded, what records we didn't record. We would, as N.W.A, we would sit around, argue shit out, and we would come to the right solution by that iron sharpening iron type mentality. I mean, fussing, yelling. That shit is whack. No, that shit is dope. You crazy. No, I mean, we're not doing that shit. Like, but with the America's Most Wanted record, it was like, this is on me. And I like that because now I didn't have to argue with four other people to get some shit recorded. You know what I mean? I was able to just do it how I felt it and had nothing but support from, like the best in the business. You can't be scared to fail because you learn something from failing. A kid could burn his hand on the stove or something, but it hurt, but you learned something. You learn not to touch that damn stove again. You fall off your bike, you learn how to ride your bike better. It's part of the process, and you shouldn't be ashamed of something that failed, that you tried.
You do the solo record, it is a huge success, and it catapults you to a whole nother level as, an individual. What was the turn of events that opened your eyes to the opportunities in Hollywood?
Really meeting John Singleton. I mean, I was a fan of movies. I would go to the movies all the time. I enjoyed, watching, great movies, but never thought that I was qualified to be in a movie. I felt like you had to go to Juilliard or one of these, theatrical schools to be qualified. So something that didn't cross my mind until I met John Singleton, and he was like, no, I think you can do it.
What about the jump from there to screenplay writing?
Well, when I was working on Boys in the Hood with John, he would have me come over to his house and show me all the people that denied the script, all these different studios. He framed the letters of them saying, this shit suck. This shit'll never be a good movie. Yeah, go back to school, kid. Blah, blah this, blah, blah that, His denial letters, which really tripped me out that he would frame those and put them on the wall. He said, I just keep them as motivation. And so we sitting there. He had just bought this nice house in Baldwin Hills. All he really worried about putting in it was a screen where he could watch movies and shit. We were sitting on his just breakfast little area and shit, and he's like, when you gonna write a script? Out of the blue. I'm like, what you mean? What you talking about? I say, look. He said, you think all the scripts you get for you gonna be good as Boys in the Hood? He said, Hollywood don't have no scripts for you. Ain't no scripts for you in Hollywood, man. Unless you wanna do bullshit. So that got me thinking. He said, man, if you can write songs like you write, you can write a movie. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to start writing one. You gonna help me? He's like, I help you. We stumbled through a first script. He helped me, just kind of try to get it right. And then I wrote another script called Faux Life. And then my third script was Friday. It was my third script.
What was your process? I mean, I know you and Pooh sort of collaborated on that Friday script.
DJ Pooh is a mad scientist and one of the funniest dudes ever. He's always laughing, joking, or looking at the funny in a situation. Believe it or not, I like to laugh too a lot. Everybody don't believe it, but so me and him get together and it's stuff I like in living color. Hollywood Shuffle, if you haven't ever seen that movie, that's a must-see. We was inspired by these dudes. Robert Townsend, he did Hollywood Shuffle basically with his credit card, paying for stuff as he went along. Got the movie made. It's a brilliant movie to be done under those conditions. So me and Pooh was like, man, let's do a movie like Robert Townsend did. Like, real low budget. Two dudes, on the porch tripping off the neighborhood, you know what I mean? And I had remembered the time when the dude in my neighborhood had beat up this dude and took his bike. So the story was gonna be around to the bully of the neighborhood. Like, at the end of the movie, like, somebody got to fuck him up. He the bully. So that's kind of how it started to formulate. So we just started writing it. I don't pivot on my morals and what I, believe in and what I stand for. But, in this world, you have to make moves. You can't stay still. All good things really only last 10 years in the entertainment business, and then it's off to something new. So you gotta be ready to move.
While you're doing this, you're continuing to put out records, and hip-hop music in that period is changing incredibly fast. Every 6-9 months, it's the sound, the way people dress, everything is moving. You were able to reinvent yourself across all, those first 4 records, each time with new production, new styles, new flows. What was the key for you to tap in, and how aware of the sort of pressure to stay on the cutting edge were you?
Death Certificate took a lot of criticism, the record.
Really?
Yeah, we got a lot of criticism for No Vaseline, songs like Black Korea. They was, basically saying I was an MC that just was concentrating on the worst parts of society, and can he rap? Can he rap? So with records like The Predator, I wanted the people to lead the record be like, oh yeah, he can. He's an MC, not just an artist that's looking to shock you with provocative lyrics, but he could do a song like Wicked, just a flow. Just a rhyme. And so, just wanted to stay respected as a MC.
Was there ever a point in your music career where you felt any sense of insecurity or challenged in order to sort of, as you became an elder statesman, to keep the Ice Cube brand relevant?
So when you first get in the game, you chart chasing. You want to be high on the chart, more fans, more this, more that. Record company's happy, everybody's happy, I'm charting, blah, blah, this. But at a certain point, there's an inflection point where you have a skew of fans who don't care if you chart. They don't care where the record go. They want it. And the quicker an artist realizes that, the better they'll be mentally when it comes to chasing a chart or where they are on the charts or record sales or, views, clicks, they chasing all that, At a certain point, you got to serve your clientele.
Where in your discography did that happen for you?
Probably Laugh Now, Cry Later. The record before that is War and Peace. You got the War disc, you got the Peace disc. I think, I'm still trying to be different than my other records, but still, chart chasing. And then at a certain point, it's like, you're going to lose your fan base chasing a fan base. You have to be who you are and do what you do. If Anita Baker was to put out another record, I want it to sound like Anita Baker. I don't want her to sound like Rihanna. You know what I mean?
I was just thinking.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you. Let her do her. And you'll produce better music.
Having been in both the film industry and the music industry, both known for being fairly predatory, which do you find to be, more or less unpleasant to deal with?
I found the music industry more crazier. The movie industry, you just don't have to chase nobody for your money. They understand paying on time is good for business. With the music game, like, anybody can get in at any time. It's the Wild West. Anybody can jump in. You got a record that's hot. You got a nephew that can rap. He got some hot record. Y'all in the music business, he put it out, he blow up. He on his computer, he put the shit out, he blow up. Everybody loving it. The little dance he done created, a little song. Now y'all in the music business. So anybody can get in at any point and anybody can get out at any point. So you have some people get in, they get out. They come back in at another point. They get in, they get out. So it's, it's harder to see where the punches are coming sometimes in the music industry.
After navigating the worlds of music and Hollywood, Q branched out into sports, co-founding the Big Three basketball league in 2017 and immediately drawing the ire of one of the world's most powerful brands. And while he's achieved elder statesman status in both art and business, Cube's unflinching approach to storytelling is never far from controversy. Tell me a little bit about your experience. You're now, is it 7 seasons into the Big Three?
Yeah.
This is one of the, obviously the empire you've built in Hollywood is substantial, but very closely tied to your creative process and your creative output. Big Three is really more of an entrepreneurial, business first venture. Obviously not without its creative moments, but you really are.
You'd be surprised how creative Big Three. Starting it from scratch means every logo, every aspect of the game, had to all be created and worked out, thought out, figured out, from colors to, like I said, logos to style of play, style of court, the aesthetics, how everything is going to look and feel.
What is that experience that you're hoping the consumer exits the arena feeling?
That it's a lot funner than an NBA game to be at, a lot looser, meaning if you go get an autograph from Dr. J, nobody gonna tackle you and take you out the arena and ban you for life and none of that stuff. That's what we try to achieve. I think we do a good job. And the sport is credible. 3-on-3 is a great game with our rules, 4-point circle, bring the fire. All these things, to me, help make it exciting. Let the guys trash talk. Make sure they play real defense so you see a real game.
Being 7 years into it now, what has been the most unexpected challenge that you've faced?
We knew we were going to get hate from the NBA, but we never knew how much sports media was basically ran by the NBA. We thought sports media was pretty much independent and, had all this resistance to our clips and, highlights and showing what the Big Three is doing. You don't see enough of that because of the NBA stranglehold on a lot of sports media.
Why do you think they're so threatened by the Big Three?
They didn't think of it. And we changed the game without asking permission. They probably didn't want us to do the 4-point circle. They probably hate that we was the first to embrace mental health, allow CBD use, have women head coaches. We beat them to all those punches, so they probably think, they own basketball and that nobody should change rules without consulting with them. I'm just speculating, but they don't own basketball.
Anymore.
Well, kids don't say, Mom, I'm going out to play NBA,
Mm-hmm.
They say, I'm going out to play basketball. So basketball is not owned by anybody, but they don't believe that. The most important idea that I ever had, I don't know if it's an idea more than an attitude of deciding to be myself in all situations. I looked up to my father. No other person could tell him what to do. And that's how I wanted to be. I kind of built up to that decision. But when I got in the entertainment industry, I really decided to just be myself, make sure that I'm not gonna waver from that. No matter what, it might take me to the top, might drop me to the bottom. I don't care, but I'm gonna always be happy with the person I see in the mirror. I'm gonna always recognize that person.
You talked about really deciding that it was time for you to lean into your core around Laugh Now, Cry Later and sort of super serving, the Ice Cube hive. What is it that you know that they want? And, how do you balance your own creative impulses to grow and move and change with serving them with what, product that they're looking for?
I think a true fan just really wants the artist to believe in the record. To me, you become an artist and you get a fan base because the audience respects your choices. As long as you like what you're putting out, they gotta respect that. I don't like everything my mama cooked, but I like most of it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's what you want to deliver, and be true to your core, be true to yourself, and people usually roll with you if they true fans.
You talked about the scrutiny that the Death Certificate received, and that was in an era where there were a handful of magazines we could probably count on one hand. We now exist in an era where every single person in the world is platformed and able to share their opinion and at you directly on Twitter. Has your sensitivity to the criticism evolved as you've gotten older?
Nah, everybody's not gonna like you. You know, some people, everybody got something to say. You know, that's part of it. Like, you shouldn't change your mind because a few people don't like your decision. I think that's the problem with the world today, is everybody's second guessing themselves, unsure, not going with their guts and their instincts, trying to fit in to, you know, society's norms. And most people that's doing that, I don't think they're happy. And I don't think they're living up to their full potential because they're waiting for permission to be. And everybody ain't gonna like you. It's like 8 billion people. So you got 4 billion that's gonna like you and 4 billion that's gonna hate what you're doing. So what can you do but be yourself?
Art is about articulating and expressing uncomfortable truths. And I'm curious, with this new record, what are those truths that you are sort of digging to put into the light?
Everybody a little too sensitive right about now. Name of the record is Man Down. So hopefully the next record is Man Up. It's like we can't keep apologizing for who we are just to make other people take over and comfortable. That's really, you know, what's turning this society upside down, if you ask me. A lot of men are just sitting around watching the show and not doing what they need to do to make sure everything is going right.
Why do you think that is, or what was the change?
Everybody is worried about how they feel. That's the change. Everybody is just worried about how they feel. Forget doing what you need to do, doing what's right, doing what's supposed to be done. It's all about how you feel. And you don't feel like it, you don't do it. Nobody feel like it, nothing get done.
I mean, you've been an advocate for free speech throughout your entire career. And I would say in the early phases of that career, most of the scrutiny that you were receiving came from the right. More recently, that scrutiny has come from the left. Has that shift been surprising to you?
No. If you listen to me long enough, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna hit you somewhere where you're gonna be like, hey, wait a damn minute. Hold on, Q, wait a minute. You know, nobody's exempt. You know, not even me. So if I ain't making somebody mad, I'm not doing something right. And it's not like that's my purpose, but the truth shows all blemishes, you know, the mirror. The mirror shows all blemishes, you know, so.
Provocation with a purpose?
Well, just being a straight shooter, calling it like I see it, and letting the chips fall where they may. Some people don't like the truth. But if you ugly, you can't blame it on the mirror. You know, creation and energy and inspiration, you know, it all flows through you like breathing air. And, you know, sometimes it's not flowing, but if you keep living, you know, it'll flow back in. That's why when you feel inspired, you have to take advantage of it and go, you know, work when you feel inspired, create, do your thing, because the feeling might leave for a minute. But it, you know, if you dedicated to that, it'll come back.
How has your songwriting evolved in your mind, you know, from those early raps, the solo stuff, through when you're putting, you know, composing now?
I don't force nothing. You know, like back when I was younger, it's like, I want to talk about this. I'm gonna write a rap about it. Now the music, the topics, the flow, all that, I don't force it. Some things I write, it's only one verse, like two verses, and the second and third verse won't come out. It's just one verse. So I just don't force nothing because I just don't think it's what I need to be doing at this point in time. I need to be inspired, and then that's where the music need to come from.
When I think about your career, whether it's working on Predator and Lethal Injection while writing first the unpublished scripts that led to eventually writing Friday, obviously making, 20 plus movies, launching the Big Three and continuing to, put out albums pretty continuously, there's a level of discipline that you've applied to your craft that is rarely matched by other creatives. Where does that discipline come from?
Well, I love the creative process. My juices are flowing in the creative process. After it's done, I'm proud, but I'm usually off to the next thing, because to me, that's the coolest part of it. Like, it's cool to get, the fanfare and people love it, and, we make good money off stuff. That's great. That's amazing. That's like the icing on the cake, but it's not the cake. The cake is getting your hands dirty, creating it, coming up with cool stuff, trying to put it together in a way where it's quality and it's something that people can enjoy years after I'm gone. Hopefully they'll still be able to enjoy, what I left here.
You are now sitting on a discography of, 17, 20 albums in that range. You have a similar number of movies. You own a sports league. What else is on the bucket list? You are only halfway through.
Get better. I could do better movies, better records. Our league can improve. So it's not about trying to do more, but it's just trying to be better. And if another opportunity comes up, hopefully I'm in a position to take advantage of it. But I want to do more movies that people dig. I want to do records that people like, sports.
You have achieved unbelievable success, both in terms of accolades and financially. What keeps you motivated to keep pushing so hard?
Fun. When I started making music, I didn't know I was gonna make money at it. It was just fun. We used to get the camcorders and cut together, bullshit skits for fun. Into basketball, play basketball, go to basketball for fun. And it's still fun. All of it is still, fun to me. And it's not about what I've done. It's all about what I'm about to do.